Hello once again, friends. This is David J. Welcome to another edition of Intelligetics, where we discuss all things interesting about the data sciences that contribute to business wisdom and ethical understanding. Intelligetics is the ethical study of big data for small enterprises and individuals. Attribution for all citations and quotations is available separately. In this edition, called What We Don't Know About What We Know, I am going to recommend sharing new conclusions with humility. Intelligetics is the proprietary brand name for my enterprise dedicated to the ethical studies of big data for small enterprises and individuals. Why humility, you ask, in such scientific and hyper-rational behavior? Why? Because no matter how intelligent, no matter how expert we may be in a subject, we do not know everything, and we eventually must revise our work with new information and learning. It is a progressive, stepwise process. Why? Because research per se and the analysis of data emerge from our initial admission to not knowing everything about a given subject, or because we want to find the answer to a specific question. A recent article in the Journal of Ecology and Society, for example, stated, quote, "Interdisciplinary research often faces incompatible ontological assumptions deriving from natural and social sciences. The importance of this fact is often understated and sometimes leads to the wrong strategies. We distinguish between two broad approaches in interdisciplinarity, unificationism and pluralism. The authors then discuss these two concepts, these two approaches, further as two long-standing and complex issues in the philosophy of science. What we ought to take into consideration in all our work are the following guiding ideas, namely, underlying assumptions. These presume certain facts to be true for the sake of and argument, even when they may not be true or accepted. First principles. These are abstract ideas accepted as true about the conceptual realm in which data and new knowledge are pursued. Axioms. Axioms are explicit statements taken as true for a starting point during further reasoning and argumentation, because they are so self-evident or well-established that they are accepted without question. Validly logical conclusions, then, result from valid perceptions, syllogisms, and reasoning. Allowances and imputations can often be made for incomplete information in any examination because complete, timely information is unavailable, which is much of the time. Inferences about causation can then be drawn before proven if they are reasonable and tested until complete research is finished. Inferences are reasoning from premises to logical consequences, classified as deductive or inductive, often in the presence of uncertainty, noise, or randomness. If you look at this screen, this price chart seen on the screen right now, you'll notice that a lot can be inferred from it, but it's based on a lot of assumptions and underlying a priori conditions. When you look at this is actually a price chart of a particular stock index, very popular and a broadly based index. You can make a lot of assumptions or draw a lot of conclusions about what is occurring here. At this point, 11 years ago, the price reached a low of 1,200. Now it's approaching a high of almost 12,000. But at the time here in March of 2007, a lot was occurring that was unknown, and it was already laying the groundwork in and prior to the Wall Street meltdown in the fall of 2008 that was not discerned by the forces that are creating this price chart. They didn't start to manifest themselves until this high in October of 2007, and then really reveal themselves in a large way at the end of 2008 and early 2009. Since then, we can see that some underlying causalities changed the direction as well as the momentum of what was occurring in the underlying stocks that form this composite index. A lot can be stated about volume, pricing, underlying economic conditions, and then the frauds and defalcations that had occurred in Wall Street that caused these hardships. The next screen is somewhat entertaining. It was published on August 25th, 2020 in an issue of Market Watch. It says, a powerful force. This is reported by a Wharton School of Finance professor at the University of Pennsylvania. A powerful force will determine what happens next in the stock market. Very interesting. A powerful force, what that might be. That's enough to draw my attention. But from a scientific perspective, we need to learn more about what that is. The professor then further explains, Professor Siegel, that it is an effective vaccine against COVID, of course, combined with the liquidity provided by the Fed. That's a really powerful force. We'll see. I tend to agree, but it is a very interesting and colloquial explanation of causality that is presumed behind a very simplistic statement about what a powerful force might be in the markets and the economy. So let me conclude by saying that every question can introduce a hypothesis. Hypothesis leads to research. Research opens new methodologies and outcomes with diverse perceptions. Perceptions are shaped by predispositions, biases, a priori decision-making frameworks. Scientific rigor suggests that we at a minimum be aware of a priori conditions and premises, because without awareness, learning will wane. This is a subject that's wide and deep and that deserves much more additional discussion in future editions. So on the screen you see an image of an award-winning photograph by Ben Myers at Northwestern University, their Office of Research, at a nanoscale that shows a silicon etching with a fluid embedded in it. Very important. I show this for the sake of an analogy or a simile that shows that when we can reach elemental data and study it inductively, we can be much more certain about our underlying conditions and assumptions about the subject we are studying. So in the future, I want to devote more attention to why I prefer inductive reasoning with big data analytics and to root cause measurements when we can enjoy full scope and an elemental perspective such as this. And so in closing, this will lead us to another edition of Intelligetics Law School that would reinforce the foundations of scientific analytics that help us draw reliable conclusions about the causality implied in data we study with inductive reasoning rather than customary engineering deduction. Until the next time, enjoy abundant results in all you do, and all the best of all to you in all you do. This is David J. signing off.